2, 1. Hey, Jackie. Hello to all of our friends and family with Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. I'm super, super, super happy yet again for another interviews with Keesha Carter. I have a so sweet and special guest for you all tonight with our Survivor Story series. This woman, oh my gosh, at 38, she was a mom of 2 young boys. Cancer was the last thing on her mind, even when she heard the word mass at her routine GYN appointment. Still, she didn't think she had cancer. It would hurt, right? I know, but cancer doesn't skip people just because they have 2 kids with special medical needs, or because they are healthy or eat well and exercise. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It's a thief and will steal what it can. God carried her and her family through that truly terrible time. And now she's stronger. Something that she never thought she'd say, as strength was the last thing she felt back then. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest hopes that her story helps other women to be cautious with themselves, to listen to their bodies, and remember that making their health a priority isn't selfish. It's for our families who need their daughter, their friend, their mom, their wife. She is now 3 years cancer free, and woo! And she will celebrate each and every year as the gift that it is. She's so thankful for every day that she gets to spend living this life and loving those around her. One day, she says, she'll be in heaven surrounded by loved ones, but that day isn't today. So I present to some and introduce to others my friend, Jackie Corral. Hey, girl.
Hi. Hey, girl.
How's you doing?
Really good. We're doing really good.
And you are reigning from the wonderful state of California. Yay, California. So I thank you so much with the time difference to be able to join us tonight. We have so much in common.
Yes, I mean, we do.
We were both diagnosed with the same type of cancer, cervical cancer. And so I would love for you to just jump right in and tell us, I've already stated you were 38 years old, you're a mom and a wife with 2, you had 2 young boys at the time, and they're how old now?
9 and 12.
9 and 12. And, tell us about that diagnosis. What stage, what type of, we know that it was cervical cancer, what stage?
I was stage, at that time it was 1B2. They've changed the staging. It's now 1B3 is what it would be today. And I had adenocarcinoma, which was a more aggressive type of cervical cancer. And I was diagnosed just by going to my routine GYN appointment. I had absolutely no idea that was going to be something that was going to come up in my life at all.
So you went to the appointment, and what happened? I went. Like, any signs or symptoms that you had? Like, what prompted the cancer diagnosis?
I had symptoms, but I had no idea that they were symptoms. And I went in, I didn't think anything. I thought I was just going in for my routine appointment. I had waited almost 2 years since my previous pap smear. And now they're saying you can wait 3. But that definitely would have been horrible for me if I had. So she immediately saw a mass, and I was supposed to go to Hawaii the next week. And she said, oh, we'll just try to do a biopsy maybe when you get back. Let's see. And I said, no, let's do it now. So a couple days later, we did the biopsy, and then it came back cancer.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of symptoms did you say you had symptoms, but you didn't realize they were symptoms? And that's the crazy part about gynecologic cancers. The symptoms are very similar to our periods. It's not something or any.
That's the problem. I think that as women, we've had babies, we go through all this, and we just chalk things up to hormone changes or, things like that. And if you notice any changes, usually they're nothing. And that's what we think. And we're busy, working or being a mom or whatever we're doing. And we think, oh, it's nothing. And obviously wasn't.
Yeah, that's so true. How did it make you feel like once you were diagnosed, and what was that emotionally, mentally, like how did you feel?
I don't think that the emotional end of it hit me, honestly, until after my surgery, when I got home. I think that prior to going into the hospital, from diagnosis to my radical hysterectomy, it was 1 week. So during that week, my boys, I needed to set up nursing for them. So I went straight into that mode of getting nursing to come to the house and take care of them. And I had no idea what I was getting into.
So it was like
I was
6 and 11.
They were 6 and 9.
Oh, 6 and 9. Okay.
They were 6, yeah. Or 6 and 8, actually. 6 and 8, and Jackson turned 9 after I got home from the hospital. Wow. So yeah, 6 and 8. Yeah. And that was the longest I was away from them. I was inpatient for 12 days.
Wow. Jeez. So what, you were inpatient for 12 days. Is there a reason why you were there for 12 days?
So I ended up, first of all, the doctor said he would be able to go through my C-section scar, and he ended up doing a full vertical incision. So that was a lot more complicated. And I ended up getting a lot of infections because he ended up doing a full bladder surgery and ureter. And so I had all kinds of complications after. I actually ended up signing myself out. My fever was staying up, but I had a girlfriend that told me to drink cold water and get home. So I drank cold water so it would get my fever down.
Oh my gosh.
I went home to heal. So yeah, and I got
better
better so much more quickly at home.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you feel that, leaving, what do you think would have been different had you stayed like at the hospital?
To be honest, my medical care was not good. And the infections I was getting were hospital-borne infections. So I needed to, it was just not a great facility. I should have researched that more, but.
Oh, and that's something that I don't hear people talk about that much. Thinking about the care. I mean, when I started my treatment, I really didn't either. I just trusted my my primary and my oncologist because I just moved here. So I didn't really know much about the facilities here. And that's something I think that, a good point for people to pay attention to. Wow.
Always get second opinions, no matter how dire things seem, because he really wanted to do my surgery immediately, but I really should have gotten a second opinion.
Yeah. My mother and I drove because I did not want to have a hysterectomy. And so I was like, just cut it, get the cone and cut it. And so I could move on with my life. But the second opinion was like, no, the mass is too large. And I didn't know at the time it was in my lymph nodes. So I'm glad I did get the second opinion and just trust the doctors at that time. And that second opinion is important. So, do you actually have any history of cervical cancer or any types of cancers in your family?
No, we really don't. Distant. I have a grandpa and a grandma on opposite sides that had colon cancer, but nothing related at all. No, so it was
Okay.
definitely not even in my mind as a possibility.
Yeah. Wow. See, guys, that's why it's important to get your pap smear. Get
Mm-hmm.
that pap done. Pap it, pap and prevent it. So that's my little corny slogan. Pap it, pap and prevent it. I
Tap
actually
it
have
and prevent it.
armbands that say it.
We need to get t-shirts.
Yes, I'm
Tap it,
working on
prevent
that. Yes, I'm working on it. As corny as it may sound, I love it. Because it sends a message out. Pap it.
it.
Pap
Mm-hmm.
and prevent it. I love acronyms. I'm a sucker for acronyms. So tell me about your support network, your support system at home, or your team. You are married. Your children were young. My daughter was 2, single mom. So I know it's different having a husband there. Tell me what is, maybe your family was involved. Tell me about that for you.
Well, my husband was amazing. I would say he was the one I wanted with me in the hospital all the time. He was the best at all the tubes and
Oh,
cords and all the stuff. He could get me places and not pull on things. And I wanted him there more than the nurses. He was so wonderful. And I have really fantastic folks, and they came up and helped and stayed with us. But I will say one of the most amazing things was my friends took my kids, and given their medical conditions, I didn't really let people have my kids very much. And they were still little and they were home with me. And I had to just release that. I had to
yeah.
release it and let God care for my kids through my friends.
Mhm.
And it was really, really wonderful. And my church provided meals for months. It was really amazing.
That is so awesome. I'm trying to hold back tears because it's like having these conversations definitely, I relive my experience too. And I think about what you said about your friends coming to help you with your children. And I moved to a state that I didn't have friends. And there was a young lady who had just finished her treatment right before me, the same exact treatment. And she talked with me through it. And she would come maybe 30 minutes or so away from her home, her and her husband, her son, who was young as well. And they would pick up my daughter, take her to the park, or take her to like the bounce house place. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
Just so that she could get out of the house and so that I could get rest.
Mhm.
But just thinking about, we didn't know each other. you know and think about you having friends that could step in regardless of what it took, because like you said, your sons have a medical condition that you were concerned about. You know if people are listening to you right now, I think that's important. If you have a friend or a family member, just relieve them of their children for a little while so that they can get some rest. What was that like for you when they did get your children? I know you said, like, you thinking you have a little apprehension, especially for me. I didn't know, I didn't know them that well. I was trusting
Mhm.
them with my daughter when I'm at one of the most vulnerable moments of my life. So how was that for you?
Honestly, I was so weak and sick when I got home that I
Mm,
I really couldn't care for them other than sticking them in front of a movie next to me on the couch.
I did
Um,
it.
we all done it. But it was such a relief just to know that they were having fun. I mean, honestly,
Yes.
they have hard memories from that summer, but they also have pretty great memories. And it allowed me to see that it's not me that is keeping my kids safe. It's God that's keeping my kids safe. So if I let them be with friends or they're with me, it doesn't change anything because I'm not the one that's keeping them safe. I'm not the one, it's him. So it taught me a lot.
Wow. You talk about your faith. I mean, I know we didn't talk about this before, but that was really big for me with getting through treatment. How did your faith help you cope and get through?
Oh my goodness. I learned so much. I've been a Christian since I was young, and I got more and more into studying the Bible and my faith, especially after the kids were diagnosed, because that put us through a lot. But I will say it is a whole different thing when you're the one on the table.
Oof, yes.
It really is, because it took me down physically, emotionally, and the emotions of it I was not prepared for. I didn't know what going through menopause overnight in the hospital at 38 was going to do to me emotionally and physically and all of it. And that was something they definitely didn't warn me about. But I think one of the best things, I got a book. Oh, I have it. I got my mom's friend sent me this.
Poetry on Fire.
And
I have to get that.
I'll send it to you.
And
it got me through those weeks when I first got home. It really carried me through, because there's so much real pain and real emotions and things that are in the Psalms. And I think one of the hardest things for me, this from the retreat, was people telling me to be strong. It was so hard because I wasn't. There was nothing about me that was strong. I had lost 13 pounds in 12 days, and I was weak as can be, the weakest I've ever been in my life. And people were telling me to be strong, and I was seeing this fight like a girl in these little pink gloves, and I didn't have any fight. I didn't have anything. So when I finally was reading the Bible and I came across 2 Corinthians 12:9, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And that
I'm trying to hold back these tears. It's so powerful. Keep going.
No, it's just, I kept thinking that I needed to be strong. And I think that that even brought me back to my kids and feeling like I had to be so strong for them when they were going through such wretched, hard times. And then we still have them. Things still go on. And now I've learned I can just rest. I can just rest in God, and then he will carry me, and he has the strength. I don't need to supply it from, getting blood from a stone. I mean, when you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah. Yes. That's so powerful, Jackie. Oh my gosh. Like, sometimes I think, especially as women, we want to be that strength for everyone. And we talk about this all the time. We want to be that strength for everyone. And then when it's time for us to pull on other people, it's hard.
It is.
Pride comes before a fall. But that is so powerful how you describe that in your experience. So that book that you referenced, who's the author? So that we can share with our viewers.
It is it's an interesting translation. I'm very careful with biblical translations, but this one's actually very good. So it's the Passion Translation. But I'm trying to see, and it says Broad Street. They have it on Amazon.
Okay.
Dr. Brian Simmons is the one who translated it.
Okay.
But it's just, the Passion.
So it's pretty much the book of Psalms. And Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I've sent it to 3 or 4 friends, more than that probably, that have been diagnosed since I was diagnosed. So anyone that's diagnosed with cancer around me, I send this to.
Oh, hey, your faith, I know that's what got me through. I mentioned that a lot in my book. It's
Mm-hmm.
love after cancer. It's I mean I couldn't sorry y'all. I couldn't make it through each day without my faith. I slept with my Bible. I slept with my press shawl. I didn't go anywhere without it. I had my prayer shawl on everywhere because they prayed over it. And I just believe that it was God's arms wrapped around me, keeping me. And, so that's your faith and what you just described. That's a part of your support, your
Oh my
team.
gosh. Yeah.
And
That's
then
the
you
biggest
mentioned your
support.
church. My church
Oh
did the
my
same
gosh.
thing. They helped to feed me, feed my daughter and I, and pay for bills that I don't know how they would have gotten paid because I didn't have the money. I moved to North Carolina. I was just telling someone the other day. Sometimes I forget about it. I moved to North Carolina and all my savings went away because I didn't get the job that was promised to me. So I moved up here thinking that I had a job, and then they told me, "Oh, well, we're going to give it to someone else." And so I went months without, I couldn't find a job. So all of my savings, I have a new place, got to pay for, all of these bills. All of my savings just went.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
and these people who didn't know me hardly, they paid my bills and they took me to my appointments an hour away and an hour back, and they brought food for us. So that support system, that team, even from the church, if you are listening out there and you have that resource, don't turn it down when you are in need. People want to be there for you.
And it's a blessing to them. You
It
don't want
is.
to be the one that needs it. You want to be the one that gives it. So if you can
Yes.
allow people to do that for you, to minister to you, it ministers to them.
Yes, it does. It ministers to me when I get to do it for others.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is so
Yeah.
true. That is so true. Oh man. So were you offered, like I was telling you, I didn't have the money saved up, and I didn't really know about the services and programs that were available in my community. Were you offered any programs or services to help you with your treatment or cost with the process? Like we have here the Buddy Camp Cancer Support Center. Um, or did someone help you with any of your expenses?
No, we weren't given really any guidance or support. I
Mm-hmm.
know with my kids' condition, I know I've now learned about financial support we can get for their condition, but
Mm-hmm.
for the cancer and for all of those things, no, we weren't made aware of anything. Or even like emotional support or any of that, or
Mm-hmm.
because I know there are support groups and things like that, even if it's not your specific type of cancer, because I know our cancer is a little more rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Mm-mm.
Wow. See, I mean, some people don't know about them, about those resources that are out there. And, that's one of my goals is to help educate the community about resources that are available to them. Some people know, some people just, have that. I mean, like I said, I was new to the community. So it was like I
Yeah.
had to do research and try to find out all this stuff.
While
And
you're healing and going through treatment and
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you're trying to learn, like, what is this type of cancer and what, how does it impact my body and what did I do or how can I prevent this? Or, it's like all of these questions. My mom was like, stay off of Google.
yeah.
People tell you stay off Google because it could make you crazy.
Oh, because yeah. Although I wish actually that I would have joined some of my support groups on Facebook before I had my surgery.
Yeah.
I didn't want a whole bunch of opinions in my head because that is difficult and confusing.
Yeah.
But they are a wealth of knowledge, and it's actually a very good group of women that they have on those support groups, and they really help each other.
Yes. That's what I love, the support groups. And, we'll talk about some support groups a little bit later, how we met actually. There are several women that I've spoken to who don't want to reach out. They want to forget about the fact that they have had cancer. And for me, I can't see how you can forget because of the scars, because of the trauma, the things that you have to get over mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and, the psychological roller coasters that we tend to experience, having talked to many women within the cancer community. It's just something that I can't see you being able to just throw away. You may cope with it in your own right, in your own way, but I think it's so much easier to deal with. And it's so enriching when we can connect with other women who have had the same, especially when you have the same diagnosis, the same exact treatment, but even the gynecologic cancers, we have a lot of the same side effects from treatment. So just being able to connect and getting out there and finding out what those programs and services are in your community, that's powerful. So when you did mention some of your obstacles that you had, like with the when you were in the hospital, did you have any with treatment? What type of treatment did you have?
So I had the radical
Okay.
hysterectomy and the dissection of lymph nodes and bladder surgery, ureter surgery, appendectomy, all of that. They just kind of like took all my organs out of my abdomen, is it felt like. So, and then after, I was supposed to start chemo radiation 6 weeks after my surgery. But due to the fact that I did not have any lymph node involvement, I opted not to. At that point in time, I remember going in with my husband to the radiation oncologist, and I said, I can't do anything else right now. So praise God that it's not come back. I'm 3 years totally clean. All my scans are good, but I opted not to do radiation. And looking back now, I'm glad that I didn't, because you really should do radiation chemo, not surgery. That's the path I should have taken. But it is what it is.
Yeah, because that's what I had. They went to take my organs out, but I did have lymph node activity, so they kept everything in. And then like a month later, I was at the getting the drip is what I call it. Radiation and chemo. Yep. So you did have chemo.
No, I didn't do either.
Okay.
No.
So you have it's been 3 years. That's amazing. Did you and since then you haven't had any obstacles or anything that you've had to overcome since the treatment? Well, not treatment, since your surgery.
Only the lasting effects that all of us have that have had this surgery or the treatment. They're quite similar, are things that we have afterward. But I haven't had any cancer recurrence. I've just had the physical challenges that come with types of surgery.
That goes into my next question with life after cancer. What has the life after cancer been for you? Once you finish, you told them, no, I'm not getting this treatment. What has life been for the last 3 years for you?
Overall, I would say, I'm so very blessed. And I didn't know how it would change me physically and emotionally going, and no one tells you. No one says, if we remove your ovaries at 38 years old, what that's going to do to your body, physically, mentally.
Has
Yeah. And the surgery is much, it's not just a hysterectomy. I think some people think, oh, my mom had a hysterectomy or my grandma had a hysterectomy, and it's not a hysterectomy. It's much larger than that, and that impacts your life in many ways. I mean, and I have strange things like I have scar tissue currently pulling on my spine. I'm having to have worked on, like weird.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I have 2 vertebrae that are completely off from being pulled from scar tissue. Just strange things that you have.
Wow. Yeah, like I think it's, I have nerve damage. Like my back always hurts. It's been hurting for 11 years.
And the
And
radiation.
from the radiation, like where I had the radiation, if you touch it, it's numb and it tingles. And if I sit too long, it hurts. If I stand too long, it hurts. It's like that sciatic nerve. I feel like that damage from all the way. Sometimes if it's really bad, my feet hurt, but that's been better, thank God. But yeah, it's impacted. It's impacted our lives. Like post treatment is, something that we have to live with.
And I had no idea. I just thought.
So that goes into what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you wish they told you before, during, or after treatment? Like, I mean, you didn't have treatment, but
the surgery, yeah. I just wish I would have been warned, and I wish they would have put me in contact with a woman that had been through it, so that they could walk me through. And it was a new oncologist that told me I needed the physical therapy, the pelvic floor physical therapy, and those things. I had no idea that was going to be something that I needed. And it would have been very nice to have someone to talk to walk me through those things, and to know things are going to improve, and maybe they're not going to be perfect, but things, you can get better. Yes. And as you know, 11 years later, you can still continue to get better.
Yeah. It's a daily process. It is definitely a daily process. And that physical therapy definitely does help. The pelvic floor therapy, for those of you who don't know about that, if you ever, I mean, it's good for any woman, but for any of us, especially having children and things of that nature. But after going through the treatment that we've had, or the surgeries that we've had, and having to go through menopause, it's definitely helpful. So many levels that we can't talk about today because it would be a whole nother hour, right? Yeah. But so because you've gone through your own experience with cancer, have you thought about being active in the cancer community? If so, and how are you active in the cancer community? In what capacity?
At this point, it's mostly the Facebook support groups, and friends that are going through any different types of cancer, or similar types of. I had a friend diagnosed with cervical cancer actually this year, a little more light year. So I've helped walk through some of that with her, and it's a blessing to be able to help other people. And I've had a few other friends diagnosed with different cancers since I was. I would really like to help in the future. Even now, I would like to help people just to make sure that they're taking the steps to really take care of themselves through treatment, before treatment, and just to make sure that they put value in themselves, that they go and get the second opinion, the third opinion, that they push. You do have to be your own advocate. And I think that we just, we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to keep calling the office or whatever it is. And you really have to.
That is true. You must advocate for yourself
Mm-hmm.
because it's cliche. It's a cliche, but if you don't, who else will? You know, we do it for everybody else. Come on.
Yeah.
We take care of our husbands, our parents, our children, advocating for them, but then we put ourselves on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. It's not time to cool down. It's time to get heated up for ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. So, based on what you've gone through, what message would you like to share with the community or to women who are apprehensive about going to the doctor?
Mm. I would just say with anything, get yourself checked. Don't wait on things. As we know, the longer you wait, if you have something that's diagnosed at an early stage, it's much more curable than if you wait until things have spread.
Mm-hmm.
And just find good doctors, talk to friends.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put it off. Don't wait. I've talked to women that haven't had a pap smear since they had their last baby, who's now in kindergarten.
Mm.
And you can't wait on that, but yet their kids are all up to date on their shots and their stuff. But mom isn't.
Yeah.
Those babies need mom. So yeah,
That's good. That's good. That's a good point. That goes back to we take care of everybody else but ourselves. We do whatever is necessary so they can go to school,
mm-hmm.
but they cannot get to school by their mom if mom is not here to take care of them, right?
Right.
Somebody else will. So that's important. That was an important message. I thank you for that. Our children have their immunizations, but mom does. That was good. So, what's one word or phrase that you would like to share to encourage women who are currently in treatment or who have faced roadblocks in their process?
Not to be repetitive, the main thing I think of is just to rest in God and to rely on Him and His strength and find support within those communities, people that will love on you and will help you. There are people out there that have gone through it and that would just love to help. You're not a burden on anyone.
Yes, that's a good point. A lot of times we do feel like we're burdening a burden on others, especially when you think about what's required. You know, I can't imagine. I, I'm not married. I've never been married, so I don't know what it's like to have a spouse. But I can't imagine people who don't feel that they're being a burden to their spouse or their parents or friends. Like you say, like
Definitely, I felt like a burden. I felt like a burden to my family,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't. But that was playing in my head. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I used to be an active participant in this family, and I would, do all the things. And now I'm doing nothing. I'm just like this
Yes.
suck.
Yes.
But it's not like that.
Just looking at all the stuff that needs to get done around the house, and it's like
I can't do any of it.
Oh my God. Yes. Wow. So with Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom being a nonprofit organization that brings awareness to the gynecologic cancers, of course, to cervical cancer, the HPV, human papillomavirus, our goal is to do it through the creative arts. So, with that being said, what way, do you express yourself through creatively? How do you express yourself?
Well, I would say in the creative realm, my main outlet would be singing. That's what I feel, I think, the most really at peace, either reading my Bible or singing. There's something about that. I think that anything that you have a gift in, that if you use that, there's peace in it.
That's
I would
good.
love to paint, but I can't paint. In my mind, I can paint, but
yeah. But I mean, even with that, like if you did, like saying, let's say you went to paint today it's still a way for you to get some of that out that you have stored inside of you. Yeah. So I get it. You know, there's some gifts and talents that we have that are stronger than others. And so for you, it's singing. And so have you ever, it just came to my mind, have you ever thought about going like singing it? I mean, right now it's COVID. So, but like singing for
Singing with
cancer.
a mask on.
Yeah. Like singing for.
I haven't thought of that. I would love to. I would, but I don't know how we would do that.
Yeah.
Bring a support dog and a support singer.
And you never know, like that could be your thing, you know, that could be another way of giving back to the community, bringing them joy through your beautiful voice, which I have to hear you sing a song, but I'm not gonna put you on the spot tonight.
Thanks.
So speaking of the creative arts, you know, I do a workshop, and it's a journal improvisation creative arts workshop where I encourage women to share their stories and express themselves so that they can heal, you know, through them sharing their stories. Encourage healing. That's what it says behind me. Encouraged. I don't think you can see all of it. Encourage healing. So so we met at a Teal Diva retreat, which is like a support group of women, you know, who get together by way of Teal Diva and have a retreat. Excuse me. Have a retreat. And, you know, I think we were the only cervical cancer survivors there. Yeah. And one of the things at the retreats, I love the fact that you have a few days to write. You know, I give everybody kind of like through improvisation, getting us warmed up and, you know, getting comfortable with each other, and then talk about, hey, you're going to share your story in a couple of days. So here's a book. And now I have my book, Love After Cancer, which is a journal so that you can express yourself. Tell me, what was that like, that whole process for the Teal Diva retreat, going through the workshop, and then at the Teal Cafe where you actually perform your piece? What was that like for you? How did you like it or didn't like it?
It was amazing. It really, just hearing all the women and their specific stories and the way they told it. Some people it was a little more of a poem, and some ladies it was more a different portion of their story that maybe wasn't even specifically cancer, but something that came through that or from that, or it was, you got to see a part of these women that I don't even know if their families have heard what they told us and how they've been impacted. And it was a privilege. It really was a privilege. And I loved watching them. I've watched them over and over since they were recorded. And we have lost some beautiful women from that retreat.
Yeah.
And we're still able to watch what they shared with all of us.
Yes. Yeah. That's why, you know, for those people who do agree to video recording, it's you leaving your legacy, even if it's just within the group. You know, you're leaving a legacy by sharing your story. So, you know, that's why I love storytelling. And like you said, whether it's, you know, your cancer story, it can be something totally unrelated to cancer, but it's you expressing yourself and sharing a piece of you that opens up a part of who you are, not only for others to see, but even for yourself. You know, because some people are really shy and reserved, but then once we open that door, that we allow them to have that experience, even if it's just that one time, to see a part of themselves that they didn't know existed. So yeah, I love that. So thank you for sharing Thank you for sharing that, your experience. And at the retreat, you know, I gave everyone opportunity to well, ever since I've written my book, Love After Cancer, now I give it as a gift. So you have had the opportunity to read it, Love After Cancer. Thank you. What do you think of it, of the book?
It's amazing, honestly, just hearing your story and the path it's taken you, and how you've grown from it and what you've learned, and that you can share that. I love, and it's getting so dark in here all of a sudden, but I love chapter 7. You have a quote here by Rudy Francisco. Perhaps we should love ourselves so fiercely that when others see us, they know exactly how it should be done.
Yes.
I think loving ourselves is misunderstood and confusing, and it just sounds selfish. But honestly, I've been thinking about it since I read your book, and even biblically, it says to love others as we love ourselves. So if
what
you
does that look like?
Yeah, well, if you don't, we are made in God's image and we are valuable to Him. So we have value, each and every one of us. He made us all so distinct and so different. And with our own, we're the only ones that can fulfill that plan He has for our person. So, and there's beauty that you see in people loving themselves, because you're able to love others more fully.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're living out who you are to be.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. I just love hearing you. I mean, one of the things I think we connected, thank you so much again for sharing your feedback, not only for me, but for others who are watching. I feel like even though we live on the other side, on opposite ends of the United States, I just felt so connected with you. And I thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed tonight, and just sharing a piece of yourself with others. And as you said, I love what you wrote. When you said, I hope my story helps other women to be cautious with themselves, to listen to our bodies, and remember that making our health a priority isn't selfish. It's for our families who need their daughter, friend, mom, wife. That statement is so powerful. We need each other. We need, it's beyond ourselves, but it's not selfish to put yourself first, to make your health a priority.
Well, if it's not, then you can't take care of other people. So
yeah. So thank you so much. I hope that this message is inspiring and encouraging to someone else who's listening, and that you will continue to spend your life, as you said, living and loving, living this life and loving those around you. As you see many, many more years to come, I pray for a complete healing, cancer-free, and whenever that time comes, that we will be in heaven together. But that day isn't today.
Not today.
I love that. So if you're watching, thank you for tuning in for another Interviews with Keesha Carter, the Survivor Story series, with my friend Jackie Corral. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you visit us on Facebook, Instagram at SCAWINC, and check out our website. It's SCAWINC.org. You'll be able to see this video again, and follow us and see what we have coming up. One of the amazing things right now, I'm thankful. I'm thanking God. I'm so grateful for 11 years. November is a month that I have, for ever since I finished treatment, just gave thanks. for survivorship. And so this month we are raising funds for Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. So if you have a moment to check out our auction or just to give a donation or want to see how you can get involved, make sure you connect with us. We'd love to see how we can work together to provide the support that the cancer community needs, especially right now. There's so many people going to appointments and to the hospital alone. There's so many people who just need an encouraging word. So just get connected with us. And I can't wait to show you all our next special guest to provide insight on what the experiences have been for us. So make sure you don't miss another interview with Keesha Carter. Y'all have a wonderful night. And until next time, see you later.
Bye, Keesha.
Bye. Corinne.